So welcome everyone to the session on what's new in Business Central 23. I'm just going to take you through some of the new features, show you what some of the new things are, do a quick demo, and you can ask questions either at the end, just pop it in the Q&A session, and Carl will assist and publish them, and we can then address them. Okay, so in terms of an agenda, we're just going to do a quick welcome. I'll give you an overview of BC23. Then we'll look a little bit at the user interface enhancements and some changes that have been made to that to make it easier to work with and more efficient. We look at some of the functionality upgrades, so new features that have been added, and then finally look at some reporting and analytics changes. Okay, so just by way of introduction, I'm going to be the presenter, and Carl is here to help me moderate the questions. So if you don't see your questions pop up straight away, it's because Carl has decided it's not a good enough question. No, I'm joking. He'll pop the questions onto the Q&A as they come through. Okay, so first of all, Business Central 23, in terms of checking your version, I'll show you that now. But if you are a BC Cloud customer, your version should have been upgraded to 23. So BC23 is the official name is Business Central 2023 Release Wave 2 that was released in October. Microsoft did put the upgrades on hold for a few weeks, so only sort of early November did we actually get were we able to start the upgrade. So new tenants came on 23, but upgrades to existing tenants it couldn't happen until kind of mid-November. Just to show you what the release cycles are, so every year there are two release waves, which are two major updates where the version changes from one to the next. So release wave 1 sort of starts in April each year, and then you've got until June to do the upgrade, and then release wave 2 is normally available at the beginning of October, and you've got until December to schedule the upgrade. So in terms of checking which version you are on, let me just switch across to Business Central. So if we look here, let me just make it a little bit bigger. So you can click on the little question mark at the top, and you click on Help and Support, and it'll show you over here the version that you are running. So my one is version. All your versions should be W1. So I'm on 23.1. Okay, so this is just to show you what the different versions are. I don't know why they have a number, but a description is different. So 23 is from October 23, 22 is from April 23, 21 is from October 22, and going all the way back. I don't think any of you, there may be some on BC14, but for the most, all cloud customers at least on 22, but most of you should be on 23. So what I'm going to talk about today is what's new from 23 that wasn't in 22. Okay. Okay, so sorry, just to go back one slide. One of the so with this release, Microsoft, we were at a conference in a couple of weeks ago, a Microsoft conference, and the big push now is for the introduction of AI tools with Copilot and ChatGPT functionality that they're going to start introducing into Business Central. I'll show you a little demo of what's available now, but that's the big push to start using AI tools to make your life easier. Okay, so let's start a little bit. Start with the user interface enhancements. So some of the things I'd like to just show you are sort of showing the details when selecting from a list, sort of keyboard shortcuts. What they've changed the search functionality, the errors. They've created actionable errors to help fix the errors. Tab names, page inspections, and how you can now add any field to a page. Okay, so let's first start with the adding of details when selecting something from a list. Okay, so let's go and the easiest way to show you this is by doing a sales invoice. Let's just search here for sales invoices. And if we create a new one and we go and choose any customer. So now when you are entering the details, so let's say we're selling an item. When you do a drop down for the item, you'll see now you can say show details, which if you click on that, okay, it will take you straight to the item card of what. So if you want to look at the detail of it, you can then look at it straight from there. So you can go down and the keyboard shortcut is Control Alt down arrow, and it'll take you straight to it. So the same thing if you're looking at a if you've got a GL account anywhere you can go show details, and you can then see the card of whatever it is that you're selecting. And it's the same, whether you're looking at whether you're choosing a location, for example, you can go straight to the card. So you can always go straight to the card from selecting something in a list, which is quite useful. Okay, the next thing that they've changed is the search. So I'm sure you all use the search, and you can use the search if you're trying to find a fixed asset. This will take you to show the fixed assets. So one of the big things that they've changed now is this search now also searches for the company data. So if you've got an invoice and the invoice number is 103172, for example, you can now see there's search company data. So if I click on that, it will search for everything that's got 103172. So I can see, oh, there's a posted invoice from the School of Fine Art. Okay. And you can search for anything. If you search for graphic, there we can see, okay, there's a vendor called the Graphic Design Institute. So when you search, there's the ability to now search for all your company data. What's quite nice as well is that if you are editing a record and you are on a field like this, so whenever you're in an edit mode, so you're editing a record or you're typing something in a journal, when you click on the search button, you'll see that it copies the value from whatever field you're on into the search, and you can then straight away search for whatever it is you've selected. So, this I've searched for First Up Consultants. It shows all the posted purchase invoices for that vendor. And this happens to be a vendor. If it was a customer, it would be the same if it was an item. So wherever it is you selected, whichever field you're on, when you go to search, that is automatically populated and you can search through your company data. Okay. The next, whoops. The next thing I want to show you is actionable errors. So when you, everyone has gets errors when you're trying to do something. You put something in that a setting that doesn't exist, or something like that. So if I go in here and I've got a journal that I've prepared that I want to post. So if I go to post this journal, and if I just preview the posting, okay, I get an error. And yeah, you get here, the dimension code department with dimension code value sales is required for GL account 8450. Okay, that's because I've put this account says that you need to fill in the department, okay, which I haven't done. So it's got a recommended action saying add the department dimension set. So you can then, if you've got a whole lot of errors, you can select them all and you can say accept the recommended action. Okay, so it'll say it's being applied to one because I've only got one error here. And yes, all of your errors have been processed. Okay, so now if I go to try and post it and I preview the posting, you'll see that it would go through because that error has been resolved. And it's added the, it populated the dimension, it populated the dimension for me on that line. Okay, this obviously it will only fix errors that where there is only one resolution to the error. So that will that's you know it's not going to fix all errors for you. Okay, then not finally. Next, the tab names include the record data and the company name. Okay, so this will be for those of you who work in across multiple environments. So if you switch companies, and if I go, so I'm in this BC23 company. If I go and change it, and I now open up a new tab in a different company. Just give it a second, and I go to purchase orders. You'll see here that the tab name shows you where you are. Okay, and what it also, if you are using if you're using badges, so if you're using a badge called company 1, for example, and this company here is company 2. So the badge, we're going to say company 2. Let's make this one red. I just need to refresh. Okay, so now it's company 2, and now we go to the vendor list here. And now we go and change, sorry. And if I go, whatever, to the items, you can see in the tab, and if you had multiple tabs open, it shows you here which company it is and which page you're on, which is quite useful. Okay, and The other thing that is useful is that if we open up a record, okay, and one of the things that you can do is you can share, if you want to send a link to somebody in Teams or email, if you click on share the link and you copy the link to this page, let me just show you in something like OneNote, or the same with an email. If I then go and paste that link, you'll see the description of what it is shows you this is a link to the item card, and it's item number 1928 in company 1. And that is everywhere. So whether you are sending a link to a purchase invoice or anything like that, it gives, the link is descriptive and shows you exactly what it is that it links to. And it's the same as whether you send that in an email, whether you link it, whether you send it in a Teams message. Okay, then in terms of the page inspection, so if you're looking for a certain field on the company, or not on a company, on a page, so let's say we want to look for what is the payment method or the payment terms, we can go to the page inspector. So you go to the help and support and you say inspect the page, which will show us the list of all the fields that they are on the on whichever record it is you're on. There we go. So this shows you all the fields that they are. So you can use this and you can search, and you can, let's say we're looking at the payment, we're trying to find the payment term. So you search for payment, and we can see here, there's the payment terms code is CM. Now to find that on the page, you can just click on it. If you click on it, it will take you and it'll highlight exactly where that field is on the page. So it's quite useful. So even if it's a hidden field, it will unhide and it'll show you exactly where that field is on the page. So that's quite useful if you're just trying to find information or details about an existing record. And then the last thing on the interface that I would like to just show you is that now you can customize a role and you can add any field that's on the table onto the page. So before, you used to have to ask us to say, can you please expose this field? Now you can do it yourself by customizing the role. So if we go to the role and you go and say, fine, let's say take the accountant role. If we then customize the pages for that role, and it'll open it up open up that role in customized mode. So this, what we're going to be doing now is changing. We're going to be adding that field for everyone who's got the accountant role. So if I open up the vendor card as an example, and I just open one up, and if I click on add fields to the page, this now shows all of the fields that are available. Okay, and if it's not if it's not a field that you should be able to edit, it will just get added in read only, so that you can't just update the field. So you just do that. It says now it's been completed, and you can now close the tab, and you're good to go. And that field will now be there for everyone that has so I've got the accountant. You can see there the creditor number is added as a field. Okay, so those are just some of the user interface enhancements that have been added, that are, to try and make things a little bit easier for you. Okay, In terms of functionality upgrades, there've been quite a few. Okay, so the first is, like I mentioned, is the use of Copilot and AI. So they've now added Copilot to help with bank account reconciliation. So those of you that do bank recons will know that when it tries to match the line, if there's one payment for multiple invoices, it often doesn't match it. So now there's AI is you can use Copilot, which applies far more fuzzy logic and machine learning to do that matching. That's not, Microsoft's announced it and their demo videos, which I can share with you, but it's not actually available. It's going to come in the first release, which will be sometime between now and March. But we'll let you know once it's out. But what there is that is available is the item descriptions. So if you want, if you you can look at this yourself. So if you're using Shopify or something and you want to put in a description for your items, you can get Copilot to automatically suggest a description for the item. So if we look, I've just created an item here. Okay, and what it does is it uses some of the attributes. So I've created an item called Warwick First Lady Cab Salve. This should be a product that everyone knows. So I've said the attributes, it's the year is 22 and it's a cab salve from the Western Cape, and this is the alcohol percentage. So here you'll see there's a little thing called marketing text, and you can say create a draft of the marketing text for this item. So it's going to look at the item, it's going to look at some of its attributes, and it's going to come up with some suggestions as to what you can do, how you can describe this item. So this is what it's just come up with now. Yeah, it's a whole long spiel, and you can then go and say, fine, do we want to, do I want to change the tone of it? What do I want the emphasis to be? I can say make it more formal, and I can say I just want a paragraph, or I just want it brief, and then you can regenerate it. It will then revise the text, and it will give you a description. This is obviously just a starting point. You can add or edit as much as you like, and when you're happy with it, you can say you can keep it, and there is the marketing text for that item automatically generated for you with Copilot. Like I said, Microsoft is going to be introducing Copilot functionality to lots of the areas in the system in the coming releases. That's their big focus point for the next while. Okay, the other upgrade is integration with the Power Platform and the ability to create flows from directly from within BC. So that's whether if you're using Power Automate, you can use that to create workflows, which allows you to send notifications via Teams and to control the workflow in Power Automate. And you can now do that directly either on the item or on the purchase invoice for approvals, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to demo that now from a timing perspective, but let's rather look at allocation accounts. So allocation accounts is a new feature that's just been released. Okay, so what that is, okay, is that when you're creating a purchase invoice, or if you're doing a journal, or if you're doing a sales invoice, I'm going to show you on a purchase invoice. So now we say we're going to buy something. Let's put a vendor, it's just Linc. So in the types, that you choose, normally you choose an item, a GL, etc. You'll see now there's a new option called allocation account. Okay. And you say allocation account, and then you say, fine, I want, I'm going to say it's software licenses, and I say whatever, one, and make it 5,000 Rand. Okay. What this does is, often if you have a rent that you want to split across departments or software that you want to split across departments, instead of either using cost accounting or creating multiple lines where you've got a GL account for software, and you will split it up and you will say admin takes 0.5 and sales takes 0.3, etc. You don't need to do that anymore. You just choose the allocation account and you say software licenses. This allocation account that's been set up, I'll show you now how it will split this invoice across multiple GL accounts and or multiple dimensions. So if I preview the posting, let me just do an invoice number. If I preview the posting, we'll see here that 7 GL entries get created. Okay, and that's ignoring the VAT. We can see that they are all going to GL account 8310, which is the software account, but it's split between sales, production, and admin. So that 5,000 has been split according to some sort of a rule. So let's go to the allocation accounts to show you how that's been set up. So if we go to allocation accounts, we'll see there are a few here. And let's open up the software one and show you how it works. Let's start with the cleaning one just to make it, because it's a bit simpler. So you create an allocation account, let's say cleaning. It can either be fixed or variable. So this is just where it's fixed, where you just say, when I choose this allocation account, where must it post to? How must it split it? So I've said it must all go to 8110. And if we look at the dimensions on this, so the first line is the sales dimension, the second line is the admin dimension. You could have multiple accounts, you could have multiple dimensions. And then you just set the share of what you want each one to take. So if you want it to be 60, 30, 20, it will then calculate the percentage for you automatically. Okay, and you can test the allocation, and you can then say, if I had an invoice of 500, this is what the split would be. Okay, so that's a fixed allocation. Now there's also variable allocations. Okay, so a variable allocation is similar, where you just choose how you want it to, which accounts you want to go to, but now you can break it down by either bank account, GL account, or statistical account. So statistical account is something that's not new, but it might be new to some of you. It has been in Business Central for the last 2 releases, I think. And statistical accounts, let's just look at them for a second. Statistical accounts. So statistical accounts are a way of recording non-financial transactions. So you could have number of employees, office space, vines under vines or hectares of vines, or just looking at what company, for farming, those sort of things, or you could have anything that's not a financial transaction. Okay, and so if I just to open it up and show you, so here we've got the number of employees, And if I look at the balance, it's got ledger entries, and you can create journals to show you where you can post transactions, and you can show the balance of it. So here it is by month. We can see that the employee count changes from month to month. Okay, maybe something like your office space is not going to change very much, but unless maybe you want to reallocate it between different departments. So going back to the allocation accounts, with something like software, you can say, I want to do my allocation based on the number of employees, and I want to do it for the balance at the date. So you can either say for the whole year, last week, all these different calculation options, or you could have it based on the value in a GL account, whatever, or the value in a bank account, whatever the case is. You can then apply filters. So what I'm saying here is we're going to break this down by number of employees based on the balance as at the date. And there we've got admin, sales, and production. So when I go back to my purchase invoice, that's how it's calculating. It's saying it's taking the date, the 10th of April, and it's saying how many employees are there per department, and then it's splitting this 5,000 down according to that breakdown. What's quite useful is that we can go in here and we can say redistribute account allocations. So this shows me how it's going to split it. But if I want to change that just for this one transaction, so I don't want to change the whole rule, I just want to change it for this one transaction because, I don't know, maybe I've ordered some extra licenses just for 2 new people in the sales department and it's just for them this month. You can come and edit this. You can add a new line. You can change the dimensions. You can split. You can say, I want to make this 900. It'll show me I need to use the full amount. So I would then go and say, make that 1,700. And now I've changed it. And yes, I want to change it. And now when you post it, it's going to post it according to the new allocations that you've set up. So this is a great way of avoiding having to use cost accounting, as well as to not have to create invoices with multiple lines. So like I said, this is available on a purchase invoice. It's also available on a sales invoice. So if you want to record revenue against that needs to split across multiple GL accounts, thinking about things that are useful if you want to bundle something together. So you don't want to show, if you're selling a package, which is a room plus breakfast plus XYZ, you just want to have a one-liner. You can have a one-liner on the invoice, and then the revenue will be split across multiple accounts. It's also available on journals. When you post a journal, you can choose the allocation account as the account type or the balancing account type, and the transactions will then all post to split it out according to how that allocation account is set up. Okay, so that's a new feature that's just been released now, which is, I think, going to be really useful and a big time saver for a lot of companies. Right, so going back. Okay, so we'll share this with you afterwards, but here there's a link here, this aka.ms/BC release plan, that if you go to that, there is where you can read about. I've just shown you a few things I've highlighted that I think are sort of relevant and useful, but that link will take you to what's new and planned for Business Central. This shows you everything that's been released now. and what you should have. So you can, if you want to look at it, you can read through this, and if there's something that interests you, more control over general journal approvals, you can look at it. It'll show you that it's been released, and it'll give you some details of how that functionality works, and you can then read up about it here. So there's all sorts of things. So here we can see here, this bank account recon with Copilot, it's not yet available. So they haven't released the date, other than them saying it's coming soon. Okay, so that's that on the functionality upgrades. In terms of reporting and analytics, there are just two things I want to show you. Firstly, let's start with the second one, the exploring of reports. So a lot of people have said they struggle to find reports. So now when you click on search, there's this option here that says, you can try exploring reports, or there's a button at the top here, or a link at the top that says all reports. And if you click on that, it will take you by area and just show you all the reports that are available in the system. So that's just standard Business Central reports. So it's just a new way of browsing to find a report if you're looking for something and you don't know what to search for. Okay. Then analyze mode. Again, analyze mode is not new, but it has up until now been limited to 100,000 records. Okay, with this release, it's no longer limited. So you can turn on analyze mode for all your records. So if you want to turn on for your item ledger entry, for example, you can do that. And you can also share analysis mode reports that you've created. So let me show you what I mean by that. So, and also, again, if some of you have not seen analyze mode, so that's this, because it wasn't enabled by default, so it might not have been enabled on your system, but it is enabled by default now. So if I would go, for example, into if I go into an item ledger, and so this is what the item ledger normally looks like. And I say I want to analyze this. Okay, this is what it looks like when you start off. And so let's say I want to look at it by entry type, for example. So we've got purchases and sales, and then I want to look at it by source number. So I can see sales by the different customers. Okay, so I can go and say rename this, and I can call it let's just go ILE by doc type. So you can then create all your different analysis views. So up until now, each person had to create their own one, and some users maybe struggle a little bit with this to get their views set up correctly. But what's nice is now that if you're a power user, or you want to set something up and share it with someone because you find it useful, you can now click on that and you can copy the link. Okay, so that copies it either to the current company or just not to a specific company, just will be available on any company. You can do that, and you can then copy that link, and you can then share that link. You can send it to anyone. Let me just, if I paste it, now again, it shows you it's the item ledger entries it's filtered on this particular item, and it's called item ledger entry by document type. If they then click on that link, it will open up their Business Central, go to the item ledger entries analysis mode, and show it there. They can then save it, and it will be an analysis view that they have saved and can use in their Business Central as well. And whether you're using pivot mode or just analyze mode, whatever you share will be that they'll get and then have it added to their area within Business Central. So the analyze mode, if none of you, if you haven't used it for whatever reason, it is available on all screens, so you can see it's on the item. You know, whether you're looking at your vendors, whether you're drilling down, and you can create and obviously every filter that you apply on the side here is also applied in the analyze mode. So now I'm looking at it, if I want to do it by document type, and I just want to see what let's just take all of these off. I can just see this is the invoices and payments, and that's what the total is. I can then just change the filter to a different supplier vendor. It will then show me what this vendor is. Okay, and before, if you had lots of vendor ledger entries or lots of item ledger entries or even lots of GL entries, it would tell you it's too big. Now there's no limit. Even if you've got millions, it will render and calculate those values for you. So you can analyze the data directly in Business Central without having to send it to Excel and do your calculations there. Okay, so that's what's new on reporting. In that link that was on the previous slide, this release plan, it's also got details of what has been added from a reporting and analysis perspective. Okay, so we're nearly out of time. So I thought I would just let's see if there are any questions that anyone has, and around what we covered today, and I'll be able to help answer them. Otherwise, if you've seen something here that you're struggling a little bit with, or you need a bit of help with, pop us a ticket, and we can connect and help you and get you up and running. But a lot of the stuff is very intuitive, and it should be relatively straightforward to start using. Thanks very much for attending, everyone. I hope you learned something new, and we're quite excited with this new release, and I think there's a lot of efficiency improvements, and the system's just getting better with each release.